Hey, I'm Olivia.
I'm Reegan.
And you're listening to Soarin Around WDW.
All right, so as per usual, we're going to talk about some stuff that's happened this week in the Disney news sphere. Again, every time I want to put a disclaimer that this is just stuff that I notice or that I believe has somewhat of a major impact. And also not, I guess I do talk a little bit about rumors, but like more wanting to talk about things that are actually plausible or things that are actually happening for sure. Just because rumors are pretty easy to start circulating. People will start getting really excited about stuff that might not be real, but there is one rumor that would be pretty major, and also it makes sense to talk about because it happens at other parks. So, first of all, the big thing that got announced, literally like I think the day that we posted our last week's episode,
or maybe even the day before.
Yeah, there's going to be a new villain show at Hollywood Studios that is replacing the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy.
Yep.
I've never seen the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy.
I have.
Okay, so you've been in that building?
Yeah, Steph and I took Eiley and Blake to see it, and we were in that building. It's not a huge building.
Okay.
The space back there when you walk behind, I don't remember what used to be back there, if it was nothing, if it was cast member stuff, like when Rock and Roller Coaster was first opened.
I don't think anything was bad. I don't know.
Then I don't know if they built this for that or if it was, I don't remember what the intention was originally.
Maybe they repurposed.
Repurpose it, yeah. But basically, the Lightning McQueen Racing Academy was just a short little show where you sit on these horrible, hard benches similar to Fantasmic. They're like the hard metal benches. And you watch this little, I think it's like 10-minute show. Lightning McQueen appears and is kind of, you're doing this race with him. And it's cute. I think especially for fans of cars, it's like a cute little thing for kids to do, especially if your party is split and the older part of your party wants to ride Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster. It's like something that's on that side of the park to do, because otherwise there's not really anything for little kids besides Beauty and the Beast and that show for people to do while the rest of their party is doing the big rides.
Right.
Two things that I thought were interesting about this, which I'm sure you'll kind of agree. So they got rid of Cars, and I was kind of like, okay, well, Cars is going to Magic Kingdom, so it makes sense to have that IP over there. But then they put in Villains, which is also going to Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So of all the things that they could have put there, and I also don't necessarily think that that's a kid-friendly thing.
Right.
I'm curious what they're going to do with the show, and it sounds like it's a stage show, so like with people dressed as villains.
Like live action.
So more like Beauty and the Beast, but like
with
same
villains.
with villains.
Yeah.
So I'm like, of all the things they could have put back there, I would have thought they would have chose something more friendly for kids. And I'm excited about the show. I think it'll be cool to see. I think Fantasmic definitely touches on the villains. So there are some villain things in Hollywood Studios, but I was just surprised. I was like, well, why remove the car show when that's going to Magic Kingdom, and then there's a Villains Land opening Magic Kingdom and they're not putting that stage show there?
We don't know that they're not.
I guess.
Like, so this is my thought process behind it. Is like, yes, I think there's already too much villains at Hollywood Studios because Fantasmic is like
mostly villains.
One of my only critiques of Fantasmic is like how long the sections with the villains takes to like get through. So like, I think there's already a little bit too much of it there. But I wonder if it's super easy to swap out shows in that building like that. Like, it's easy for them to just be like, we're getting rid of Cars, we're bringing in villains. If they could basically just give this show a run until Villains Land opens to test engagement, to see if people are interested in some kind of a live action villains entertainment, to see if it's worth bringing it over to Hollywood Studios.
I just feel like
Magic Kingdom.
If that's the case, if it's going to be something that's movable, then it's kind of disappointing. Like, so the Cars thing is a huge portion of it are these screens, and so it's very screen oriented. And then Lightning McQueen, there's not a lot going around, like on around. So I'm like, if it's going to be replaceable, I don't know that it's going to be that cool. And like the set design and like Beauty and the Beast is very like elaborate.
Well, I mean, did you also see the release date for it, or like projected release date?
No.
So it's supposed to be summer of 25.
So it's a little bit of time.
What else is happening in summer of 25?
I don't know.
Epic Universe.
Oh, yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah, but is a little villain stage show going to compete with
I think they're
Epic
trying to
Universe?
do anything they can to have open next year. Anything new to like bring people. So like
I'm
Test
just
Track
like,
3.0.
come up with something else.
Yeah.
I was
agree.
a little like, huh.
I definitely don't see the need for it. I mean, like, probably won't see it. I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe if we have like extra time at some point, but like, I don't do shows very much of the parks anymore, other than nighttime shows. So I probably won't see it. Like I said, I've not seen the Lightning McQueen one, so I'm not super invested in it. But for Villains fans, I guess that's really exciting to have more Villains stuff to do until Villains Land opens.
Yeah.
In 2055. I'm just kidding.
A long, long time from now. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so next piece of news, and this was a big one for us specifically. Yeah. I think in general, but like, so Standby for Tron is currently open as of today, as of recording this episode. Today was the first day of Standby being open for Tron.
Yep, September 9th.
The reason that this was interesting to me, I mean, a lot of things that are interesting. Guardians, way older of a ride, still no Standby there, which I'm okay with, but like also it's strange to say. It's just interesting. I want to know what the inner workings of like how they
what
make
was their
decisions.
thought process.
B, like, why keep virtual queue for Tiana's when it's already had a Standby in the past? And they're like, I'm sure they're concerned about it being super long, but it'll only be super long for a bit. Yeah. Like, before it starts getting cold outside, and people are going to be less likely to go on it regardless. So, like, and it's not an individual Lightning Lane attraction, so it felt like an interesting business move as well, because, like, people are like, oh, well, they still just want to sucker people out of buying it, and it's like, people are way less likely to buy it if they know they can just get in line and wait for it versus like having to nail that virtual queue. Yeah. Versus Tiana's, which now you still have to either hit the virtual queue or buy like regular Lightning Lanes. Right. So I don't know. It was just interesting. I mean, it seemed to have gone as expected. I think Guardians would be a lot worse day one for a line. Yeah. But it started the day off at like 105 minutes, I think. Like 9:15 this morning is what I saw. It's definitely dipped down. Like during lunch it said 30 minutes, like at 12 o'clock, and then it went back up. And it's kind of averaged out around like 60 minutes or so. Granted, we don't know. We're not physically there, so we can't really tell the legitimacy of that time. Right, like, are they inflating it? Right. Which probably. Yeah. Like, to some extent. Especially at 9:15 in the morning. Right. To some extent. 105 minutes is so long. The super annoying and interesting part is that they opened it up for standby, but not for early entry. So, like, they would already start calling boarding groups at, like, 8:45. If the park opened at 9. So, like, for some reason, they decided instead of pulling it back another 15 minutes, they were going to push it forward 15 minutes. Yeah. And people decided today that they were going to. I mean, granted, this is day one, so this is going to change. But people were waiting their entire time of early entry. They waited to rope drop Tron. Yeah. So like everything else was empty during early entry, which like sounds like a dream, but also very scary for like Tron. Yeah, or you just waste your entire early entry. Yeah. Because even if you get there and you don't have early entry and you're trying to rope drop Tron for not early entry, you're still behind all the people that waited for early entry. So they said that the line at the beginning of the day went all the way back to Space Mountain. That's so crazy. Which, like, if you can think about how long that path is. Well, because we waited in virtual queue. So the very first time we rode it, we waited in virtual queue and during the Halloween party with you guys. And we were outside, and we waited like an hour. Yeah. And then we got inside when we did ours. I believe we went inside, and it was still like 40 minutes. Yeah. So it's a long line. So all the way back to Space Mountain, I'm just like imagining 105 minutes is probably accurate. That had to be accurate. Yeah. Plus, they're also at that time, like when we went. I mean, granted, not during the Halloween party, but other times that I've been, you have to factor in lightning lanes. Right. And so, like, we may have waited a little bit longer because they were accommodating lightning lanes versus, like, in the morning that early, they're probably not accommodating lightning lanes. Right. Or that many. Not that many that it would have, make it that much longer. Right. So I guess explain to people why this matters to us so much, because people might just say, well, okay, then pay for the $22, $24 for the individual lightning lane, like, and then move along your day. Okay, so why can't we do that? Biggest piece of this that affects, so, like, looking at it from a challenge perspective, again, we do the Every Ride Challenge, where we try to run all operating rides in all 4 parks in one day. We talk about it extensively in other episodes. Feel free to check those out. And then we also have a video on our channel of us attempting it our first time together. But the reason that affects the challenge so drastically is because people might not know this, but you can only buy like it would be a super easy cheat pass. I mean, it'd be even more expensive to do the challenge, but if you could just buy all of these rides that sell individual rides, if you could buy all of them for the day and space them out, but you can only buy 2 across all 4 parks in one day. So you kind of have to be selective about the ones that you buy, and you can't just, wing it. You have to kind of have a plan going into the day, because if you buy them and then you cancel it, you can't buy another one. So you have to go into the day
knowing what you're buying,
having already bought them now,
and
with
the times
new system and the time set. Granted, I think there's a little bit of leeway there from what I understand. It works a little bit more like a virtual queue, from what I understand.
Like, they'll honor it probably.
You can go later probably, but not earlier most of the time. So not having it rope droppable at early entry essentially means that there's no way to win other than to buy it. Because you can't risk getting off of a rope droppable ride like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and getting over to Tron and getting stuck in a 105-minute wait. And it's like, okay, well, we'll just wing it and try and get there when it's lower weight, but you never know when the newest, most popular, not newest anymore, to be honest, technically, but probably the most popular standby attraction for the time being is going to be a short wait. So you're always running that risk. Granted, you're always running that risk at Flight of Passage. You're always running that risk at Rise of the Resistance. You're always running that risk at Guardians. Like, those things always are potentially run enders, but I've seen far more consistency with Rise of the Resistance being a shorter wait than what it says than I would trust a brand new ride to be.
And Flight of Passage, which can be upwards
Forever.
of 2+ hours every day.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Because it's one of the only things to do with that park.
Yeah.
Like, the thing about Hollywood Studios is there's so many other rides to pull away from, and that's what I don't understand is, like, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, about this decision making. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train has been the only rope droppable ride that anyone cares about.
And they're continuing that.
For like 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're still not taking that away. Granted, it could be, by the time we do the challenge in December, it very well could be early entry. And they could just be like, we just don't want to, like, absolutely bombard our cast members day one with all of our early entry.
This could be adjusted.
It could change over time. But because, like, Rise of Resistance is rope droppable in early entry, so is Flight of Passage. So Guardians and Mine Train is. Anything with standby. So anything with virtual queue is not so far, because you have to wait for your group to get called.
So Guardians is not.
Guardians is not. You can technically do it at like 8:45 if you're group one most of the time, if it opens on time.
Yeah.
But, like, that's still not. You're still wasting 15 minutes.
15 minutes of your early entry.
Right.
Yeah.
So so that's, like, the big thing about why Tron standby really, really affects us as a challenge. It just makes it even more complicated, and they keep changing little things about the parks throughout. It's like, okay, we're closing Jungle Cruise, but it'll probably be open, and so, like, people are doing runs right now, but they're not doing runs that are, like, it's not looking the same way that it's going to look for us. So we're not really gathering any data, which is really, really tough. And it's like, I just did all that practice in August in the morning to, like, see how the stuff would be, but that was with a virtual queue boarding group 1 for Tron,
right,
where no one was there by the time I got over to it. Like, we walked straight onto it, and it's like, now that's
doesn't
gone.
matter.
And it's like, so now I believe that the best case scenario is to lightning lane it, to still purchase the lightning lane for that, and then you risk it for Rise of the Resistance way later in the day.
Yeah, just making sure one of these big, really long wait standby queue lines is eliminated. I mean, and that's just like the name of the game with the challenge. It is always changing, which is why you do it once and you're like, okay, but then it's never going to be the same again. Never. I mean, it's like almost impossible for it to be the same because something changes, something closes, it rains, it doesn't rain, it's hot, it's not hot. I mean, like, anything can make the biggest difference in the day. So I think this is just like a learning opportunity, a learning curve for us.
But if they do change it to be early entryable by December, I think that it would be very feasible to get on and off Tron and run over to Mine Train before it gets even remotely busy. Because they said this morning, rope drop for Mine Train was practically empty.
Yeah, because everybody was at Tron.
It was at like 20 minutes until like 10 o'clock. So, like, which is probably basically a walk-on.
Which is a huge difference for Mine Train. Like, that ride.
We waited almost 40 minutes and we got there at rope drop.
Yeah.
We weren't like first in line, but we waited. Like we were there at rope drop, and we still waited a long time. So
the other thing that we're kind of monitoring too with park hours, which we'll know here a little less than a month from now for the time that we're looking to go, but it's Animal Kingdom, and if Animal Kingdom opens up early, do we want to run over there and try to get stuff done like Flight of Passage?
Do the Flight of Passage and Navi River Journey.
Yeah.
Which then that changes
our lightning lanes.
Which, like, at that point, it's like, do we just do both of the lines at Magic Kingdom? Because we've already done Flight of Passage and then we risk it for Rise later.
Right.
You know, like...
Right.
There's so many... There's
variables.
So much. Yeah. And, like, when you don't know until 60 days out, it's just very stressful. Because, like, you can go through the order... Like, I've gone through... the order of what I think was feasible before Tron was standby, like 100 times in my head for Magic Kingdom. I'm like, this is the order we're gonna do, and then Tron goes standby, and now like it just reshuffled my brain, and like I can't quite nail down something for sure yet. So we'll just see. But I mean, that's the name of the game, and that's kind of one of the fun pieces of it is planning it.
Makes it a little bit more fun, and it makes it. That's also why we love points, because it just like really still puts you in the game, can put you on the leaderboard even if you don't finish. Obviously, we want to finish, but and the people that did it this past week, they only had one person finish, and the other people
got really close. Oh, that was devastating.
Yeah.
Well, I think
e-ticket
it was
riders.
It was
Kenny
weather related, wasn't
it?
Yeah, like Barnstormer
was down, but then somehow Rich got on Barnstormer. He was like the only person on it.
So he must have just waited. I think Kenny was just like, he had just done it.
Yeah, so he was kind of like, eh.
Yeah, which fair enough.
Yeah, and then the e-ticket elites got close too. I mean,
and that was their first run.
That was their first run.
And they did it very, like...
all over the place.
Yeah, what I would say is odd. Like a really, like, odd way to do the run. So, like, I honestly, like, to be fully transparent, like... I'm sure you guys did great, but I was like, there's no way they're going to be even close.
Yeah, and they were 49 of 51.
Yeah, which is great.
That's amazing.
But like showing they did the picture where they were like, this is our strategy, and it was just like lines all over the Disney map of them hopping back and forth.
Yeah, that made us laugh.
To kind of explain, like, you want to limit your hops like as much as you can in the challenge because obviously getting to your car, driving, getting out, walking, like that burns a lot of time. And so they had gone. I think they started at Animal. And then they went to Magic. Then they went to Hollywood. It's like they did like the big rides, like all the big rides
right away
in the morning. Yeah. It was interesting. They like did Rise of Resistance and then left Hollywood and went to Epcot. It was just
they did
super
Flight of Passage, then went over and did Navi River, then they went to Rise of the Resistance, and then they did the Main Street vehicles, and they were at Magic. Yeah, so they hopped a lot, and I'm trying to find the time that they posted. So that day at 11:47 a.m., they were like, we've already hopped. It's only been 4 hours. We've hopped so many times. Yeah. I don't know if this was a good decision, but, I mean, by the end of the day, they did so well.
Yeah, they did so well. I mean, you beat our first run, and so, like, and that's incredible. But that's also just a good sign of, like...
it's still doable.
It's very alive. Like, the challenge is very, very alive with the new system, and if like brand new people are hopping, like it feels like the community is getting really like bigger by the week. Yeah, there's more and more people running, like new people getting involved. It's really fun to watch. Yeah. But anyway, so another piece of news that this is a rumor, and I just want to touch on this a little bit because I don't know the legitimacy of it, but for those of you that don't know, I'm pretty sure at Disneyland Paris there's this and comparing it to like Universal's Express Pass system. There's a system called the Premier Pass. Oh, yeah. Which is like a huge chunk of money. That's not like a VIP tour chunk. It's more like probably like $100 to $200.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit in our Fast Pass episode. But
yeah. Where you pay like one chunk and then you get like a lightning lane for every ride at any time during the day.
Almost every ride. Some rides are not included, even on the more expensive one.
At Universal.
Yeah, Universal.
Right. So I don't know if that's the case I think that is the case at Paris. That I'm thinking back to like Nathan when he had shared some information about his Paris day during his global challenge.
Yeah, Nathan.
I remember him like asking cast members if certain rides were included on the Premier Pass. So like that'll probably be the same thing where you'd still have to buy like Tron and rides, all these things. But to have like a lightning lane for every ride at any time, like that breaks the challenge. It's the golden ticket, essentially. Yeah. It's the golden ticket glitch that you would just pay for.
Oh, I wonder if they would say that doesn't count in the challenge rules.
But if it doesn't, then all the people that buy it, though, are still going to be in line in front of you. But I guess, like, the same thing was, like, DAS.
Yeah.
Like, those were people that were getting included. And, like, to be fair, now that I'm thinking about it, like, the challenge has kind of gotten more consistent since they changed those rules, too.
Yeah.
There's a lot less people that are getting approved for DAS stuff.
Yeah.
Like, which is, yeah, that's actually an interesting correlation now that I think about it. But anyway, there's a rumor of Premier Pass. There, I guess it's been a while, a rumor for it coming to Disneyland for like a long time, but it hasn't happened. And now it's also being rumored to come to Disney World. I doubt this would be anytime soon, given they just changed to Manuel
they
Multipass.
keep changing freaking Multipass.
But like we talked about, Genie Plus came out
20, 21, or so.
So it's like, I think we'd have at least 3 years with this system before they change it again. But
yeah. I hope they don't do that. They just keep making it more and more expensive and more difficult for people.
Yeah, so like if they're going to do that, I hope they do make it where it doesn't count for the challenge. Otherwise, the challenge will be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like way less. Like it'll just be easy.
Yeah.
Like there's no 2 cents about it. You would have way less of the stress. Granted, you would spend way less time on your phone, which would be nice.
Right.
But like everything would be proximity based. You wouldn't have to like go from here to here to here to here.
Right.
Ever.
You just go from ride to ride to ride to ride to ride.
Yeah.
And then go to the next park and go ride. Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty boring.
Yeah.
So
takes the fun out of it a little bit.
Kind of hoping that doesn't happen. And then the last piece of news. We're already like a third of the way done with the episode, but long news this time.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of this stuff started happening right as we posted last week's episode. But I don't really know a whole lot about this system, and I know that people really seem to be upset about it. But Disney apparently canceled graduate programs and capped funding for students for the Disney College program.
I had not heard this.
They capped it at $5,000 a year for students. I don't know what that. I guess that's like for scholarships or for. I guess there used to be a really, really good incentive. Like my bare bones understanding of this is there used to be a really, really good incentive for Disney College program people to work full time. And they're no longer like there's that less of that incentive is being given now, and so essentially, I guess canceling graduate programs to me just means that they're not doing master's programs. They're not doing. There was this other thing that they said they were canceling, but it's essentially just I guess going up to bachelor's programs now, and even then there is the. There's a cap on it.
Yeah, so it's really more about the Disney Aspire program, like cast members accessing higher education. So it's for cast members, and Disney was previously pledging 100% of their tuition, and now
so it was tuition assistance essentially.
It was tuition assistance for cast members. I think that were full-time. Different full-time.
Okay.
Then I think that's different than like the Disney College program itself. I'm still trying to figure out if there's still something with the college.
That would make sense though, because like a lot of employers in Orlando started offering tuition assistance because of Disney doing this originally. Yeah. So like to compete with Disney, a lot of employers started offering. So that would make sense if they're kind of going back on that a bit. And the timing with that is they kind of announced that. I think this last week was also when Epic Universe started hiring. Ooh. Which was just an interesting move. Yeah. For Disney to pull. Because I think that Epic Universe is probably going to start pretty high rates with probably a lot. Like they need a lot of people. And I mean, not that there's any shortage of people, but like there's only so many people in Orlando, and you're going to have to feed a whole nother theme park full of employees. Yeah. So they're going to have to offer some pretty decent incentives for that, I would imagine. And for them to open up hiring at the same time Disney announces this is kind of just like, it's like a push and a pull for these people to potentially end up at Epic Universe instead. Yeah. Which I just thought was interesting. So, but that's it for news for this week. We're going to get on to our actual topic now that we're 24 minutes into the into the podcast, but let's talk about how did this come about? Okay, so I put up, if you don't follow us on Instagram, follow us at Soarin Around WDW pod. But I put up a little question box every week for people to kind of ask questions, ask trip advice, ask history questions, ask challenge questions, whatever you want to ask. Give us ideas for old versus new. Head over that way. You'll see that I follow us, and you'll see that I post it each week. So we've had a couple of submissions, and one of them was one of my friends
they are planning a trip to Disney. And so we had kind of been talking back and forth about different things. And she always is asking me questions. And she said, okay, can you guys talk through, some ideas on the podcast? And one of them was, is the dining plan worth it or not? And the other one was, what would you do with a certain budget? Would you guys plan out a trip? So when I talked to her, I'm like, okay, give me a budget, give me some information, and we can kind of talk through what we would suggest for this. So what she gave me was a $4,500 budget. They want to stay at the Pop Century. They have 2 adults, 2 children. One of the kids is 11, so they technically are an adult ticket. And they would like to do 4 park days. They're open to other options, but basically what would we do with that money and how would we suggest that they spend it? I asked if that included getting there or not, and she said it can or it doesn't have to, so we kind of did some different scenarios here, but I thought it would be fun for Reegan and I to both plan it separately without talking and see kind of how similar our plans are and what we would suggest. So do you want to start?
Sure. So I am looking at this from a perspective of you're booking it without assistance from a Disney person. You're not using us to book your, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
we're
we're
not
not
what they're doing. So I'm looking at this as you go online, you Google Disney tickets.
Yeah.
And then you're going from there.
Yeah.
And so I use that to basically do all of the work that I put into this.
Yeah.
I was going to do it myself. I got all the way up to
booking
purchase.
Yeah.
And didn't.
And accidentally didn't click that button.
And so I didn't know that Disney had a lot of these features, which is really, really cool. But so I went on to book a night or these nights at Pop Century. I think that's where I started. And there was a package, a ticket package that you could add on to.
Yep.
Starting with Pop Century, right?
Yeah.
You find the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there was the
that's how us lay people book.
So it was 4 tickets. Oh yeah, so I haven't had to do that in forever because I have an annual pass. So
and he lived in Kissimmee,
right? So I haven't had to think about this, but so 4 tickets with the room, and then they add on. They'll ask you if you want to do the dining plan or if you don't want to do the dining plan and which dining plan you want to do, et cetera, et cetera. So without the dining package, the 4 nights or 5 nights with the 4 tickets was $2,796.90. And that was with no dining package. So that means that you would have the rest of that money to get there and to buy food, lightning lanes, etc. With the quick service dining plan, so this includes 2 quick service meals, 1 snack / non-alcoholic drink, and 1 refillable mug per night per person. So this is going to be 2 quick service meals a day, 1 drink a day, and then 1 refillable mug. The size of the mug, couldn't tell you. I'm assuming it's just a mug. And so you're probably not taking that around the parks being
yeah,
give me some more water.
Right, yeah.
It's probably just a fun little collectible item. And you probably only get 1 mug per stay, not per night per person. Everything else is per night per person. And then there's with that dining plan, it was $3,367. So there's roughly a $500 difference, maybe 5 and change, between no dining package and with the quick service dining plan. And then so you have to think about feeding 4 people, but you're only getting 2 meals per day. I don't think any Disney resorts offer any kind of complimentary breakfast, to my knowledge.
Correct.
So you would you'd need to get another meal at some point. Or just, bring a box of protein bars or something. Anyway, and then the full dining plan, which includes a full service meal, 1 quick service meal, and the snack and non-alcoholic beverage. And you can redeem those full service meals for a dining experience, including character dining. So I'm thinking Crystal Palace, Liberty Tree, full dining experience that you can redeem per day with the full dining plan, which is another roughly $400 from the last one, ending at $3,739.74. So I believe that you had talked about they wanted to do a sit down meal per day.
Yeah.
Once per day. So that is what I would go with.
So,
but I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done. So I also went in and looked at flights because I realized that there was some space left. So if you were flying on Frontier, and this was from RDU to MCO, so Raleigh to Orlando, it was roughly $83 a person for $332 total for Frontier. Again, that's It's super uncomfortable, but it's cheap. And it's also pretty unreliable. So.
And not seat selection, and that's a backpack. No carry-on.
Right. Oh, yeah, without bags. Yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good point. It's without bags. And then Delta, but Delta's also without bags. You get a carry-on. But you
get a carry-on. Yeah, but you each get a carry-on.
That's true.
Every ticket you pay for.
Right. Okay. And then for Delta, it'd be $167 a person is what I found for $668 total. So the most expensive total was $4,407.74 with the full dining plan in a Delta flight, leaving not a lot of room for merch or lightning lanes or like breakfast.
Okay, run by your prices again. You had the 4-night stay because it's 5 days, 4 nights. No.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
5 nights.
They check out on the 8th.
You said the 9th.
Oh, but the 9th? Is that what I said?
You said the 4th through the 9th.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep,
so
you're
5
right.
nights and then 4 days at the parks.
Okay, yeah, you're right. So how much was your... And that's with 4 tickets? Your total?
Yeah, it was with four tickets.
Huh. Our math is very different.
Really? I mean, I didn't do the math.
Well, the site did the math.
Right.
Interesting. So it pulled up for me for those dates a 5-day hotel at Pop Century room with
That's for the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th.
Yeah.
The 4th through the 9th.
Yeah.
Checking in the 4th, checking out the 9th.
Was $1,361.
Without tickets.
Yeah. And then with tickets.
I never even looked at without tickets because I had to buy tickets.
And then with tickets was like $2,400.
Yeah, but you just
and then adding it together.
But you just added a night just now because you thought it was 4 nights.
No, I think I had my math wrong. We got to double check this. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up while we're talking. Anyway, so what would you recommend as far as lightning lanes and all that stuff?
Well, so
because it doesn't leave much wiggle room.
I wasn't quite finished yet.
I'm sorry. Okay.
The
Continue.
The cheapest total with no dining package, and it was I had it $3,128.90. So that's the 4 or 5 nights at Pop Century with the 4 days of Disney tickets with no dining plan. So that would leave you $1,371.10 for food, lightning lanes, and merch. Which I haven't fed a family of 4, but I'd imagine that would still be tough. Because you're looking at roughly every time that Steph and I eat together, it's probably like $40.
Yeah.
For a quick service. So you add in $80 probably ish per meal. So $160 per day, 4 days, is going to come out to 800 minus 40 times 4, like 660. So you would use $660 roughly of that. I don't know if that math's correct or not. Of that $1,300 or $1,400 for food, which still leaves you a pretty decent chunk for lightning lane and merch. But that's also taking Frontier, so you'd have to pay for bags, and I didn't subtract that cost out, so that would probably lose you another $200 or so.
And then transportation to the park.
Right. So I did do one option with a bundle, because you can also add a rental car when you're going through the Disney service. And so adding a rental car that was an SUV brought the total with the most expensive dining plan to roughly $4,200-ish. Mm-hmm. So not including a flight, that if you included a flight on top of that, it would automatically go over your budget.
Yeah.
If you did a rental car. So I figured you could either take transportation from the airport to Disney, which I'm pretty sure they have shuttles.
Yeah.
That to take you to the property. And from Pop Century, you can get to everything via bus.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not super crazy about wanting
bus
to get
or
there
Skyliner
at 5:30 in the morning, right, which only goes to certain parks.
Right.
As long as you're not crazy about wanting to be first in line for a challenge day, you'll still get there for rope drop using the Skyliner or the buses.
Yeah.
So you'd still be able to get on everything that you needed to get on. And I also added that you could drive from Raleigh. It was probably roughly $160 gas total.
Yeah.
To go there and back.
Depending on what kind of car you're driving, yeah.
Yeah, depending on a gas guzzler, but I'd say you probably have to fill it twice to get down there, and I just added $40 for gas to fill it. It's probably like
if
an
you're like
average
a sedan. Yeah.
sedan.
Or like
that's like what it costs to fill our Tucson.
our pilot costs $60 to fill.
Okay, so like
But whatever. Still not bad.
Way cheaper than buying
than
a flight.
flights for 4 people.
So like if
and
your kids,
luggage and then a transportation.
and you don't have to rent a car.
Yeah.
So like you save a ton of money, but then you use all of the 4th and all of the 9th to drive, which is also fine because you've added those days already for travel days.
Yeah.
And you don't. It's not like you're going to parks those days.
Yeah.
So like you could technically do that and be fine if your kids were fine with driving.
Yeah, I was sitting in the car long because it's about an 11-hour drive without stops.
It's 8 hours.
No.
It's 8.5 hours.
No. Buddy.
I just did it.
From here, I'm going to do it right here from where we're at, sitting in Raleigh.
It's 10 hours. It's 10.5 to Bradenton.
Walt Disney World Resort. From here.
Doing Google Maps.
Google Maps is the way, yo. If you're a Google Maps person, holler. If you're an Apple Maps person, you're not. 9 hours and 13 minutes. Okay, so I'm wrong. So it must be 11 hours with stops. It's been a minute since we drove because we have little kids.
8 hours and 53 minutes to Magic Kingdom.
Google Maps is a liar. That's what I put Magic Kingdom. Anyways, Apple Maps is a liar, I mean. Okay, so we got to check your math because what is coming out on the website that's what it is just with tickets and the nights. I'm like losing. I don't know what happened there.
I mean, it might have gone up.
I don't think so. It's like that much? That's just with tickets in the hotel? That's crazy. Anyways, okay.
I did it on my computer.
So we'll talk about what I'm going to do with the money. So when I did the calculations, it was significantly more money than what Reegan spent. So I had like less wiggle room. So 5 nights at Pop Century came out to be about $1,361. It was like $270 a night or so. And then 4-day non-hopper tickets on the Disney site were listed at $2,390 for the 4 people for non-hopper tickets.
What room did you choose?
Standard.
Okay.
So we're going to keep going. So just a tip. We have booked through Undercover Tourist before for our tickets. So if you're using a travel agent or not, see if that's an option, but it is significantly cheaper at times. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's actually a little more. So definitely compare prices. Make sure you have the taxes included and all of that. But Undercover Tourist is a reliable ticket selling site. We've bought Halloween parties off of there. 0 children, my man.
Where? Oh, 2 adults, 0 children.
Oh, wah. That's okay. His math's a little off. Anyways, so look into Undercover Tourist. And that for this was actually almost $500 cheaper. No, wait. No, hold on. I'm sorry. Both of our math sucks today. Anyways,
learning experience.
Was significantly cheaper on Undercover Tourist. So Undercover Tourist, it was about $2,400 on the Disney site. It would have been another like $300 for the ticket. So you're saving about $300 using Undercover Tourist. So just look into it. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's not, but it is a reliable ticket site. They'll email you your ticket code and that you'll put into your Disney app and they email it to you right away when it's paid for. You do have to go ahead and pay for the tickets right away. So different than doing a $200 deposit for your stay like you can do when you're booking through the Disney site, but just something to consider because $300 is a lot of money. And I'll show you what you can do with that extra $300. So mine came out to with Undercover Tourist tickets. So the 4-day non-hopper tickets and the hotel stay is $1,361 was $3,751.52. So I did this a couple of different ways. I basically said if you do flights on Frontier, so similar to Reegan, the $3 flights, you would not really be able to do multi-pass or Garden Grill because you'd be paying about $432 for round trip basic and an extra, bit of money for the carry-on bag, which so I would say no carry-on bag. So you just do one checked bag that is included in the $432. Or you could drive for a total of about $200-ish in gas, give or take, depends on what you're driving.
Yeah.
And if you drive, you could do multi-pass at Magic Kingdom or Garden Grill. Or my personal suggestion is to do 3 park days instead of 4. Have a day at the hotel to chill, go to the pool, go to Disney Springs, and skip Animal Kingdom. Because I know this family has been before and they've been to Animal Kingdom. So personally, that is what I would suggest. Then you would save $500 for tickets that day. You could use that for multi-pass for the 3 parks.
No. You don't need multi-pass for anything other. If you're doing 1 park per day, you only need multi-pass for Magic Kingdom. That's it.
Need. But think about it.
Period.
See?
You don't.
Definitely
There's not enough to do at any other park.
Or you could also, look at different quick service. So the dining plan, when I looked into it, I similarly had a little bit of a hesitancy because
you can't. If now that I'm looking at this, you cannot do the dining plan under $4,500 for that.
Yeah, with the kids. Yeah, because you were missing the kids' tickets basically.
So everything I said was a lie. It's a good thing I started.
Don't listen to Reegan.
I was literally the whole time I was talking through it too, because Steph was there with me, and I was like, "This isn't that bad." For 4 people, this is pretty good.
But the dining plan still, if you want to do a a sit-down meal each day, I still think the dining plan could be worth it.
A quick service meal for 4 people would probably be close to $200.
$50 a person? No, sir.
A table service?
Oh,
like a sit down.
Yeah, sit down, not quick service.
Sorry, a sit down meal would probably be close to $200 for 4 people.
Yeah.
So like if you math that out, so this is without it. It's $4,043.66 without any dining plan. Is what I got.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
And then with the full dining plan, it's $5,606.38. So that's $1,600. So you're getting $200 a day, and this is per night. So you actually would get it on the day you arrive as well.
Yeah, that is the thing about the dining plan is it gets it. So you could do it. You could go to like Topolino's or Chef Mickey's, but I did read. Which we're going to have to do a dining plan episode because we don't have enough time today to go through all this. But I did read that some places cost 2 of your dining credits.
What?
So, yeah. So we'll get into it. We'll do a dining episode. We'll look into more of whether it's worth it or not. But just some things to consider. So for $4,500, you can still go. You can have a nice trip. Buy your tickets on Undercover Tourist if it's cheaper. Take the cheap flight or drive as my personal recommendation.
Yeah,
drive. Don't fly. And then you'll have your car and you can go, to the parks if you want to, but then you have to pay for parking. But bus systems at the resorts are pretty darn good. And at Pop, having the Skyliner for both Epcot and Hollywood Studios. If you did the 3 days, you'd only have to bus to Magic Kingdom.
And you wouldn't have to pay for parking at any if you did it that way. Like otherwise, it's $35 per day. And Pop Century doesn't charge for parking, or any resort fees. So everything's included in the price that you see when you're booking it.
Yep. Yeah, so just something to be mindful of. So that is for a family of 4 traveling from out of state, and they already said they wanted to stay at Pop Century. So it's doable. There's different ways you can cut in and out or kind of decide. But what I included in my cost was the 5-night stay at Pop Century, 4-day tickets from Undercover Tourist, but I would recommend the 3-day. And if you do the 3-day, it gives you a good bit of wiggle room for meals, getting to do at least 1 sit-down nice character meal, if not more, and then quick service meals in the park. I also often recommend for people to do a Target run or have grocery delivery, which a lot of resorts do allow. So look into if the resort you're going to allows it or not, where Walmart can deliver groceries or Instacart or whatever can deliver groceries ahead of time. And do that for your breakfast. So keep stuff in the little mini fridge in the room. Each room comes with the mini fridge, and save that money. Because that's like a easy way to blow money at the parks is with breakfast or one of the meals. Do one of the meals where you're not spending that money in the park, because it gets pricey fast.
Yeah.
So just kind of depending on your family and your needs, you can bring food into the park. I think we'll have to do a dining episode here soon of recommendations of things to do and cost. But yeah, it can get pricey, but they do allow you to bring a small cooler, you just can't have loose ice, but you can have ice packs. So we do that often for the kids. We load up a lunchbox with ice packs and snacks, and then have a bag of snacks as well that don't have to be kept cold.
Yeah.
So there is some different advice.
But my last piece to add on, this is the only part of my thing that's real. So Saturday during that week has to be your Magic Kingdom day.
Yes.
You have no other options because the Christmas party is every other night of your trip.
Yep.
So Saturday, while I would usually recommend Saturday not be a Magic Kingdom day, you are going to have no choice but to do Saturday for Magic Kingdom. In addition to that, you will probably want to buy Lightning Lanes for Magic Kingdom. Usually I would suggest it always for Magic Kingdom, but especially that day, because what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of people that are in the same position as you, where that is the only day during their trip that they're able to go to Magic Kingdom for a full day. So it's probably going to be pretty packed that day.
Yeah.
Compared to other days. Saturdays are always the busier days, in addition to it being the only day of the weekend that is not the Christmas party. It's going to be busy.
Yeah.
So definitely Magic Kingdom Saturday. The other days, I wouldn't really say it super matters. I didn't look at Jollywood Nights though. So is there?
No, there isn't a Jollywood Nights.
So yeah, I would suggest then probably Hollywood Thursday, Epcot Friday,
Magic
Saturday, and then Sunday a day off, or Friday the day off and go Sunday to something else.
My recommendation was first day Epcot, then rest day at the hotel, pool day. You're going to be up late. It's going to be a long day. Or Hollywood first.
See, I think you should rest after Hollywood, because Hollywood is an all-day thing, so you want to stay for Fantasmic, whereas you don't really need to stay for the nighttime show for Epcot.
But if you've never seen it, and I don't think
you can still go to Epcot, do everything you want to do, go home and sleep for 3 hours, and go back and watch the
That's
thing.
true, especially in your Skyliner. Yeah. So that's a good thought.
Whereas Hollywood, I think you can take up an entire day with everything that's in that park.
Yeah, my suggestion for rest day, though, is to do it somewhere in the middle of your trip, because if you're only having one rest day and 3 park days, you're not going to want to do it on your very last day, because that's kind of like anticlimactic. But definitely a rest day in there rather than at Animal Kingdom is my recommendation. But if you really want to do that 4th park day, Animal Kingdom is not a whole day park anyway. So you can still go back, go to Disney Springs, go to the pool, whatever you want to do. And the buses do go from the hotels to Disney Springs too, which we're going to do an episode about that eventually as well, Disney Springs and different things to do on your rest day. So that's our recommendations. So hopefully...
Feel free to DM us. Again, I'm so sorry that all my math is wrong. Feel free to DM us for if you need clarification on things. I'm sorry that I talked for 20 minutes and then realized that all of it wasn't real. But you did, that packaging it through Disney's website is a pretty cool feature. And as long as you're not a stupid dum-dum like me, then you will not click the wrong number of people in your party. So.
The other thing is, we are obviously not travel agents, but talk to a travel agent, because they can book for you at no additional cost. And certain travel agents will book your lightning lanes for you. They will get up out at the crack of dawn on the day you need to, and you just tell them what you want, and they will do it. They will do dining reservations for you. Even if you don't do the dining plan, they'll do the dining reservations for you. They're a great resource, so look into it, but still keep in mind pricing out undercover tourist tickets if you are using. Some of the travel agents might not do that because they don't necessarily get a cut of that.
I would never ever trust somebody else to make my lightning lanes. Not in a million years.
If you are not a Disney pro, you probably want somebody else to do it because you're not familiar with it and don't know how to do it.
Right.
Okay, so that is that. So let's do our old versus new.
I have one if you
Okay, yeah, do it.
Okay. Tower of Terror versus Guardians.
Okay, I wondered when you were going to bring this up. So, Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios is my favorite ride of all time. Still my favorite ride. And at Disneyland, they used to have Tower of Terror. It's very similar to... I'm sorry, excuse me. At California Adventure.
At Disneyland Resort.
Oh my gosh. He's just roasting me right now. At Disneyland Resort. So when we went to Disneyland for the first time, it was already changed to Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. Mm-hmm. Different from Cosmic Rewind. But Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And so they rethemed their Tower of Terror at DCA to this. When I tell you that I was so pissed because it is my favorite ride ever, I went into that ride having very piss poor expectations. I came off that ride and I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Like, I wish I never knew that it was Tower of Terror because it would make me less salty about it. But we rode that ride about 6 times in our day at DCA. We got very lucky with crowds when we were there. And I was very sick by the end because it was a lot. But it is so fun.
Yeah.
I love that each ride is a new experience. It's a new, as it is in Hollywood Studios, new drop sequence, but new song. That's
new song,
just
new clips.
New clips. Yeah, it's very cool how they do it. I don't want to spoil too much of the ride as far as like the actual differences, but there's differences in the actual like track. Reegan likes to go ahead of time and watch rides on YouTube and stuff if he hasn't been on them.
Not always anymore.
Not always.
I used to do that.
I don't love to do that as much, kind of depends, but I didn't, and so I did not know what to expect. And
I didn't watch that one.
I remember getting off the ride and being like, oh my gosh, I'm glad that I didn't know, because it just made it that so much better.
Yeah.
So what was your experience with each?
No, yeah, I mean, so I like Tower of Terror. It's not something that I'm like crazy about. Just because like I think it took me a long time to go on it when I was younger, and it still like creeps me out to a degree. Like people that get stuck on that, like that would be another one kind of similar to like Splash Mountain, that if I get stuck on it, I just get nervous.
Yeah.
Which I never have, thankfully. But so I'm not a huge, like I like Tower of Terror. I don't really, the up and down is just kind of like, whoa, to me it's not like this is the best ever. It's just kind of going up and down. But the way that they do it in Mission Breakout is, I think, substantially better.
You're also a huge Marvel fan.
Huge Marvel fan.
Huge Guardians of the Galaxy fan.
Yeah. And so like I think anything that adds rewritability with like changing the music, changing the scenes, changing the drop sequences, like that obviously makes it better to me. But like I also think that, I mean, yeah, without spoiling anything, like the DCA version is just, it's quicker. It's like it's so like it's easier to re-ride without having to be like, the boring stuff. And so while I like Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios, that is one thing that I do wish that they would retheme, because I think it's a bit too scary for younger audiences. Granted, your child is... My
4-year-old went on it.
Yeah.
Well, she's 5 now, but when she was 4, she went on it, and I was a little nervous. I was like, this is either going to break her or she's going to love it. And we kind of showed her some videos beforehand, but she loved it. Thank God. I was really worried I was going to screw her.
I just feel like it's not... Granted, I mean, everyone's going to be like, oh, well, there has to be something for adults at Disney, and like, yeah, whatever.
Guardians is still for adults.
Yeah, 100%. I think you can do both. We can have it be for adults and still not be like scary.
Yeah.
I also got to go on the rethemed version of Guardians when I went last time, where they do it like only at like night after the sun's down. They'll do like a Halloween version of Mission Breakout.
Oh, interesting.
Where it's like intended to be scary.
Oh,
more or less.
Huh.
I think, but it plays like, instead of like the Guardian style music, it plays like heavy metal music, and there's like a monster chasing you.
Oh.
And it's quite unsettling.
I love that.
I did not enjoy it nearly as much. And we waited like 2 hours for it in the rain, my friend and I. And that was, it was not nearly as good as the
Guardians version.
Granted, it's still Guardians themed. It's just
more
scary. Yeah. But I'm 100% Team Guardians Mission Breakout. I think it'd be weird to bring it to Hollywood Studios now that they have Cosmic Rewind, but now they're doing like a Spider-Man version, it seems, of Tower of Terror overseas. And so it's like, okay, maybe we could do something like that in Hollywood Studios eventually.
No, let it be. No. So I love Tower of Terror, and my vote is always going to be Tower of Terror because it's literally my favorite ride of all time. And it's funny because I do not really like scary stuff. Disney's version of Halloween is like about as scary, but it's my favorite holiday. But I love the old school Tower of Terror movie. I'm obsessed with it with Kirsten Dunst, and that movie is just amazing. We'll talk about it more at Halloween time, but I was really into it as a kid. I rode the ride, I think, before I even saw that movie, but I love just the story of it, being able to go through all of that. And I just think it has such a good original story versus Guardians, which is just more IP, but I don't know. So I'm definitely going to vote the original Tower of Terror. And I like that it takes you through the journey. I know it takes longer, especially from a challenge perspective, but I do really like the whole idea.
up.
The people I wanted to work at that ride as a kid, getting to wear the bellhop uniform, and they just like get into it, and I love it. The people that put you in the elevator shaft usually are so good and like in character. So I'm definitely voting for that one. So curious what people's thoughts are. But I do enjoy the Guardians version. I like both, but I'm glad that they haven't gotten rid of Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios and they've kept that one the same.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thought.
Okay.
So moving on to our trivia for today. Which ride has the fastest top speed in Disney World? Rock and Roller Coaster, Expedition Everest, Space Mountain, It's a Small World, or Test Track? It's a small world. Why do they even
Small
put
World.
it?
It's definitely not space.
No. I'm stuck between Rock and Roller Coaster or Test Track.
I think Test Track used to go faster. I think they slowed it down. I'm gonna go with Test Track.
Okay, I'll go with Rock and Roller Coaster.
Rock and Roller Coaster seems too obvious.
Yeah, it's 0 to 60 in however many point seconds. Okay, I was wrong. Hold on. Oh my gosh, this thing every week makes me
Better
just
website.
like cry. I know, but it's hard to find one where we don't know the answers right away. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so sorry. Hold on. View answers.
Does it not tell you?
Yeah, it tells me. I know you're gonna Google it faster than I can find it out. Here we go. I'm there. It's Test Track.
Nice.
Okay. So let's look at the speeds.
Top speed of Test Track is 65 miles
Okay,
per hour.
and Rock and Roller Coaster 60. So what is Expedition Everest? Out of curiosity.
50.
50.
Yeah.
Dang, that feels faster. What's Guardians?
Not that much.
Really?
Guardians doesn't go that fast.
Does it not?
Oh, 60.
Okay, see?
It goes 60.
When it launches you or just in general? Is this reliable website?
It can't be when it launches you. That launch is
Yes,
not even that intense.
it's not that
And you
fast.
don't even feel G's. I guess you're going backwards. Would that have to do with it?
You want to ask me? I'm not a physics person. I don't know.
Space Mountain is only 27 miles per hour.
Yeah, that one is not that
In
fast.
Small World.
Yes. 2 miles an hour? 1 mile per hour?
It won't even give me the answer.
Yeah,
2 miles per hour.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna
So
say.
you're really cranking.
Yeah, you're really. I wish you were cranking faster on that ride. Get it out.
You could get through that.
Get done.
Way quicker.
Okay, well, this is our little shameless plug. Please follow us, like, subscribe. Instagram at Soarin Around WDW Pod.
If you come from Instagram, subscribe to the YouTube. There's so many Instagram followers.
Yeah, I'm working hard. I'm cranking out on the Instagram, or I'm working on YouTube. But yeah, subscribe to our YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Write a comment. Please write in on our question box. What do you guys want to hear? Ask questions. Give us an old versus new. We've got a couple old versus new suggestions. Just none of them have fit the episode quite yet. So we will get into those. Thank you for those who have submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry if I interjected.
There's ones that fit certain episodes that we're gonna do.
I got you.
And yeah, what do you want to hear about? Give us some, budget. It can be blue sky budget, big budget, like whatever, little budget.
Or you could do it as as cheap as you possibly can.
Yes, cheap.
Yeah.
We're starting to
creative.
get closer and closer to our, trip planning for our challenge. So looking forward to getting more into the nitty gritty of that. We can talk through cost and stuff too, because
we will know in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What the hours are for that day.
Cannot wait. All right, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We're gonna
Thanks.
soar out of here.